All right, we're back.
Yo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles Show,
Yes.
presented by TrueMark Financial. And today's streamathon also brought to you by the good folks at Rothman as well. And as we have musical chaired and mixed things up, I've got Devon Givens and Kyle Neubeck with me today, talking birds. How you guys doing? I have to apologize. You know, I did a little bit of prep for the draft show. Sent those guys some questions ahead of time. I did no such thing with you guys. We're just
fine.
freeballing it. I'm
That's
trusting
fine.
that you guys know ball here, and we can just sort of freelance.
I think we do, and I'm good with the freestyle of this show. This is fun.
Yeah,
We don't even
I
have
think
to
that's
talk
sort of
sports.
the point, right?
that's the point, right?
Yeah, we don't even have
You guys have both been on the show before too. You've
Yeah.
been on the Eagles show.
Should
don't,
we
you
just
know.
spend 55 minutes yelling about them not getting Jair Alexander or what?
Do you want Jair Alexander?
That's a question more for you, right? I'm just like, hey, that's a guy I know.
That's a guy you know. Yeah. I would be more intrigued by Asante Samuel Jr.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm not against Jair Alexander for the right price. I do think that they want Keely Ringo to get those reps and maybe Dory Jackson as well. And so you don't want to necessarily take the training camp reps away from the guy.
Right.
But, you know, there's a price when it becomes worth it.
And it seems like he took the deal he did in Baltimore because of the Lamar Jackson connection and at least the spin that's out there is
Sure.
he had more money on the table.
That makes
And so,
sense.
you know, that's
All right.
anyway.
Remember that we are doing this today for charity, to raise money for Big Brothers Big Sisters. So it is open there for you to make your donations. Anything will be very helpful and will be very much appreciated. And also, let's boost these subscriber numbers. We're going 12 straight hours here.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Show a little bit of love. How'd you guys do on the? Were you guys playing horse at all?
No, we were just shooting
Just
around.
shooting around?
Yeah, we have our
I
routine.
made a long one-handed, underhanded shot
He did.
Okay.
right before we
Yeah.
came on, so people can rewind the
where
stream
deep?
and maybe see that.
Like
I don't know, maybe
where the
like a
pillars-
20-footer.
Who do you think's the
something
best
like that.
shooter in the office?
Shooter?
Yeah, not Papa Shot, just shooter.
I would put my money on either Rich or Devon.
Yeah, I would say me.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I know Rich can shoot.
I
I
know
know
Rich can
Devon
shoot.
Devon is the one on the Papa Shot machine who for the longest played what
Yeah,
I would
playing-
say is
he's shooting
the
instead.
pure
Yeah, of
way
course,
and
yeah.
actually
Not
shot the
just
ball.
this- yeah.
Yeah.
Where Derek and I went through like
Just the
18
scoops.
iterations of
Yeah.
underhand, flick shots, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So definitely Devon is in the inner circle. for
I have
sure.
more fun just playing pig or horse than the actual Papa Shot.
Yeah, and then you move the court around so many different times.
Sure.
So
Some
we
of
get
these lights
different
are in dangerous
angles.
spots, yeah.
They're just annoying at this point. The lights.
You got to
And-
shoot it kind of on a line.
Yeah, we don't want a line drive. we want to put some mark
I want to
on
put a
it.
little Dirk shot.
Yeah,
you know? Give me
exactly.
some elevation.
That's why when we had it over here, we could at least when we would play horse and we would shoot it
Yes.
off the wall.
Oh, like the off-the-wall shot?
Yeah, the off the wall shot.
Do
was
like
pretty
a
good.
one-legged shot.
Little-
all
yeah,
kinds
with
of
the
goofy
chair deep. You know.
Yeah, we could definitely do the Dirk from this angle.
Yeah.
But then the lighting here is just
Yeah.
and the exit sign. You know, how dare they put the exit sign there? We don't
Unbelievable.
need we don't
know-
need
yeah.
that.
Or we can lift it up. I feel
one
like.
day-
we can tape it to the ceiling. yeah.
One
could
day,
do
one
that.
of these lights is coming down from
For
a
sure.
Papa Shot incident.
Absolutely.
It is
Yeah.
going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, so I
Hopefully, it takes out a mouse when it happens.
but
You ain't lying.
that was classic, man. I mean, on the draft night show, and you're just like, oh, it's just their own little playground here.
it's 5-0.
two of them running around. Unbelievable.
So I
no
handled it,
shame.
I handled it differently because one night Rich and I were here. Colin and Derek were at the arena. Us three, Bree was here with us, and I saw it.
Yeah.
But I was like, just keep talking. Just let Rich keep going.
You had nothing?
Don't bring it up.
Yeah.
You know, because
It's that thing, like you see something in your periphery
Yeah.
moving that shouldn't be moving. It's a little bit disconcerting.
It is.
And then I see the one, I see the one just sort of hanging out. But then when the two of them started chasing each other like they were just like at a party,
So
the hell?
I mean, we were
This
in
is a
their
place of business.
we were in their space. It's late at night.
Yeah, I know.
This is their time. It's not our time. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be out here by what, 5 o'clock?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's,
So
yeah.
let me offer a piece of advice to our listeners. Some of you are younger. Maybe you haven't rented your own apartment
Yeah.
before. Some of you are older. Maybe you're, hey, I'm looking at a house. I'm looking for different features.
Okay.
The moment you see exposed brick
Yeah.
in any listing, mice. It is almost a guarantee.
Interesting.
Because in many cases, it's new property and they wanted to make it look a certain way.
Okay.
Some corners were cut. I have never heard of someone living
so
in a place with
especially with new
exposed brick
property.
that did not deal with mice in some capacity.
I think that's generally very good advice. If it's a bit of an older property, but then you're talking about an older property that's probably going to have
Right,
some.
it's got its
some
own
problems.
problems.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, that's good advice. I remember we had an apartment on 8th and South, above the bong shop there on the corner, and
One of the many.
Yeah, and we had a mouse, and we talked it to the landlord, and this very very old Italian couple were just like, "You live on South Street. What did you expect?" Like, oh, sorry. Like, I didn't know.
How dare you?
So,
yeah.
you need a cat budget.
Nah, but yeah.
All right,
Somebody
here's
said we need a bodega cat in here,
Exactly.
which would be.
K-Red
Exactly.
said that.
I'm pretty allergic to cats, but
Same.
I'm not a
just
cat
like
guy.
a lot of the sniffles and the itchy eyes. And
You a cat guy?
I'm not a pet. I'm allergic to cats and
Okay.
dogs, pets in general.
good news, Boozy Mutt.
Boozy
Next
Mutt.
Wednesday.
Our draft show. I'll take my allergy
Are you a dog
pills.
guy, pal?
I am a dog guy. I have many people who regularly watch our show know I have a big old English bulldog named Louie, who I
Okay.
Part of
can't
the show.
promise, but I believe will be in attendance
booze. Yeah.
at the
Nice.
the Boozy Mutt next
Okay,
week.
I like that. All right, here's my Eagles question for you, Kyle. First,
Uh-oh.
having won the Super Bowl, did that make you like less engaged from the offseason? Did you feel like you are still just sort of in the honeymoon afterglow?
I would say yes, because so the Eagles for me are one of my, as I become more serious and professional covering the Sixers or whatever, they're one of my outlets for the passion and the fandom and to be not really objective, right? It's just like these are my
Sure.
guys
It's a
and
nice
screw
outlet,
everybody
yeah.
else and all that. And I think when they've won, it's not that I've checked out or I don't care anymore. It's just like, you know what? I don't need to think about them all off season, right?
Yeah.
I rode to the top of the mountain with this group. We all celebrated together. You go to the parade. I was out on Broad Street the night they won, and I'm drinking strange liquids from people I'm meeting in the street and smoking cigars, and I'm just you're trying to focus on that feeling, and I don't have to worry about what's coming next, right?
Right.
I feel good about the organization. I feel good about Howie Roseman and sort of how he's set things up and the way that he's changed his philosophy in different ways, right? Like their approach to the draft and how he's adjusted. So I don't sit there on draft night and try to pretend to be an expert, like, oh my God, I can't believe they took this guy and not
Right.
that guy. Like they've earned benefit of the doubt to the point that I say, there are other sports going on. This is the off season. Like, I'll focus on other things for a little bit.
So in that passionate outlet, who is the person who has like the most starry-eyed view in your mind? When you think about them, you're getting little love bubbles. Is it Jalen? Is it Howie? Is it A.J. Brown? Is it Jalen Carter? Vic Fangio?
I mean, it's a little bit of everybody,
Okay.
right? Like, I would never say the starry-eyed guy is the executive, right? Like, oh man, really rooting for the suits in the office and the guy who's just manipulating the salary cap and all that, right? Like, what I would say is, I love Jalen Hurts because he just seems to represent a lot of the things that I love about good or great athletes, right? Like just the cool, calm demeanor, the idea that, even when they haven't had their most successful seasons, there have been games where he played really poorly and then final 2 to 5 minutes, pull some magic out of a hat, scrambles for 30 yards, makes a big play. And like, it never has truly felt like they've been out of games with him leading them. And I just think he's somebody that between the success he's had at multiple levels, the leadership that he's shown in college and in the pros, like he's just the sort of person that makes an entire organization better by being there. And I think they've done a really good job at identifying those guys across the board, right? Like there are a lot of guys that certainly they are productive. Certainly they are guys who pop on tape, but a lot of good dudes who are high level at their position, who continue to get better even as they hit,
Seems that way.
Pro Bowls and All Pros and whatnot. And you need guys like that, especially with basketball. We're talking about a 15-man roster, and really it's like 6 to 8 guys are the defining players. With football, it's so spread out,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't afford to say, well, the safety group or the linebacker is like, we don't care if it's an Eagles type of guy. We don't care if he represents who we are. You need the whole organization to kind of stand for something broadly. So I think Jalen is a good kind of person and avatar for that.
Devon, where are you on the spectrum of fan versus analyst? Because you've had to you've had to play both roles as it relates to the Eagles.
Yeah. So with the Eagles, it's harder, especially when they get to the postseason and you see we all kind of, except for you guys, you can't do that. But for us, I'll speak for myself. But we all just kind of, everybody's focused until you get to that spot and you really say, oh, they have a real shot.
Yeah.
And
do you allow yourself to give in to your inner sicko?
Yeah, more so in the house or at a game where it's kind of in the private area and you give a fist pump just because it's been so few and far between here in the city of all the sports when they've won from how many breaks they've been in between of all these other, and then you watch these other teams in these other cities every year, and it's like we'll talk about it now, and I know you guys do too. And even with the quarterback conversation before Jalen became Jalen Hurts, and who he is right now as a franchise quarterback, you look at some of these others, even the ones that haven't really done anything in the postseason yet at the time, Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, some of these others, and I remember me saying, I want one of those guys. It didn't have to look like that, but it was just more of winning. And he has provided that. And then the way that Howie Roseman has built the team, it's hard not to kind of go back and, dig deep and pull it back out of, all right, I want to see these guys win and fist pump because of how good they are and how they do it. And then the other piece is just the little small parts that really also play into it where the league is losing their mind. And you remember you asked me on the show of the tush push. Losing their mind. So
I actually love that this has become a thing because everybody hates what Philadelphia is doing and you can't stop it. And it's like, I love that the Eagles are the team that you have a play that they can't stop.
But don't you think at this point it would have been more fun if it actually did get banned?
Yes, because they would figure something else out. Yeah. Figure something else out or just simply normal quarterback sneak and you still cannot stop it. And so with all of that, just to bring it back to your question of, I do find myself looking at them in the postseason in particular of, I want to see them win, and I might fist pump, and I want to watch it with my kids and see how they react to it and experience this because we did it. When I was growing up, I watched the Eagles for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't wait until they finally got there in the 2000s, and they still disappointed. But now being here and watching it and seeing my kids go and watch and go through with it, and then I think it's pretty clear at this point, like my relationship with Brian Westbrook and watching games with him and him showing me stuff and the relationship I have with him and some of the other guys where now I'm living it through them in the moment of how it's getting done versus when they were there and they couldn't get done and seeing them enjoy and love it as well. So it's just been a whole different thing of how I watch it now to that point of where it's pretty cool to see them winning and seeing them win the way that they do, where Howie Roseman does become now like a cult figure, not just locally, but where everyone else is like, I don't want to do deals with Howie Roseman because of this. Or even him getting the compliments and the respect from everyone else now, nationally, on television, and even just reading other stuff or hearing you guys talk about it, of where they give him the credit of he's the one now. He's a Lock Hall of Famer at this point of his career, and him emerging from that. Him emerging from that closet that year, having to go through all that with Chip Kelly, just to see it all come back in full circle for where it is and to watch them win, I do enjoy it.
Thank you to Kate Taylor for the generous donation to Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Thank you very much.
Follow Kate
Love
Taylor's
to see
lead
donations.
Appreciate that.
You have any self-confidence? To you guys, maybe pivoting from who is like the starry-eyed person in your mind, who is the most intriguing person in the organization heading into this season? I mean, it could just be Jalen. How does he deal with success? Yeah. But in terms of having to replace the guys that they do on the defensive line and a new offensive coordinator, or maybe it's Saquon. How does he bounce back from what he did last year? Who's the most intriguing person to you?
I'm sticking with the superstar. I'm going to A.J. Brown. Yeah. He is so interesting to me.
I think he's very interesting.
Because 2 days after they win the Super Bowl, he's like, all right, I moved on.
Yeah.
What?
He's like, it's completely.
It sounded crazy to me too.
Completely
So I'm with you.
unfulfilled.
So when you talk about pulling that sicko out of you, that's a sicko professional athlete
deranged behavior
that just got to the pinnacle of what we see him losing his mind for, going crazy on the sideline.
He was surprised that it felt so empty, that it felt so fleeting.
So he did it already. Now I know he wants to do it again. But
he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to win the Super. He doesn't want to do it again just to win the Super Bowl again. He wants to do it again just to get into the process.
Right. So I think for me, he's the one that for me is as a guy that's on the trajectory of. We talk about all the accolades and stuff. I love the fact that they talk about all these wide receivers and they don't bring him up as one of the best in the NFL, like top 5. That kind of
crazy.
It's ridiculous.
He's at least top 3.
Yeah. So for me, he's the one that I am so intrigued by because of that. And then the other part of you already knew that he was one of the best, and you see him get upset when Jalen throws one over his head, or low throw one for him, or something, or he doesn't get enough targets. But
maybe that's the thing because he sacrificed last year. They went so run heavy.
Yeah.
Both he and Devontae had way fewer targets.
And they seemed to enjoy it because you kept hearing these things of, oh my goodness, this guy Saquon Barkley is so good.
Right.
Okay, cool.
And AJ is definitely smitten with watching Saquon.
Right.
I think greatness appreciates greatness.
As are we all.
Right. But I do wonder if okay, he did that last year.
Now
give me the ball.
Now what?
I'm still the best player on the team, and I think that he is. No disrespect to Saquon, or Jalen Carter, or Jalen Hurts. I think AJ Brown is the best player on the team, or Lane Johnson. And that's the roster is so loaded that you can say a few other guys.
I agree.
I think AJ is the best player on the team, and maybe it's the case that this year he's like, okay, I want my year now. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah,
listen, wide receivers are different, man. So I certainly can see the logic behind that. I would go Jalen Carter, right? Because I think
like that one.
Historically, the Eagles, for decades now, but they've been a trenches team, right? They build out from the lines, and they've invested lots of resources, whether that's picks, salary, whatever, on the defensive line. But they're making it's a gamble this year in terms of what they have on the edges with their edge rushers. And a lot of that hinges on, we think, Howie Roseman thinks, that Jalen Carter is a special player and a special talent and someone who, in the middle of the line, can create enough pressure, can draw enough double teams that not only is he going to make plays himself, he's going to free up everyone around him, right? And to this point,
and Vic is willing to play him 80% of the snaps.
Yes,
unbelievable.
So he's going to play a ton. He's going to generate a ton of attention, coverage, pressure on every snap he's in the game, and it's still a big bet, right? Like a defensive tackle, there's a reason why teams invest a lot more on the edges generally, except for some exceptions to that. But generally, we'll spend more on the edges than they do on the interior. But I do think that he is a special enough player and has shown that, including certainly that play against the Rams that everyone looks back on now. It's like
insane.
That was the moment, right? Like that was the moment where it could have been lost. Like if he doesn't make that play, maybe the Rams score there and history changes. But so I'm looking at him because he also has an argument as the single most talented player on the roster, just in terms of the physical tools, the production, just everything. And just love watching that guy play, man. He is just a complete bulldozer.
All right. Good conversation to start the show here. We're going to take a little break, and we'll talk more birds, maybe castration on the other side.
Maybe.
Oh. If you're looking for the most affordable 7-passenger SUV in America, CherryHillMitsubishi.com has you covered with the 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander. And they're celebrating Memorial Day savings all month long on their massive selection of budget-friendly and gas-sipping Mitsubishis. Here's a fact that took me by surprise. Mitsubishi Motors is #1 in customer satisfaction with dealer services among mainstream brands and SUV owners. And that's not me just saying it. That's not the people at Cherry Hill Mitsubishi saying it. It's J.D. Power. You combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, $100,000 miles powertrain, and 5 years, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper. Why settle for a lesser warranty and be on the hook for costly repairs down the road? Here's what you need to do. Stop in today. Tell them PHLY sent you and receive a $100 Restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Mitsubishis elsewhere. I just don't know why. Drive home in your new Mitsubishi today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at sherryhillmitsubishi.com.
My turn to talk with you about making sure you locate all your money properly, and that's through Monarch Money. You ever have an issue where you're looking at your statement and you're, wait a minute, I didn't park here at this time. Why is this parking app and all that there? Why is this money going to this other subscription that you thought you took care of and that's no longer supposed to be there? Or maybe even simply with your phone provider. Whatever it might be, finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full responsibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. And right now with Monarch Money, you can start managing again your finances to build life the way you actually want. Monarch makes money managing simple, even for your busy lives. Track your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. The top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart. You don't want that to be the reason. You don't want any reason, but that should not be a reason. Monarch makes money conversations that much easier. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half of your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
Uh-oh.
What's happening?
Is Devon in trouble?
Got the boss here.
Just had to come in, jump in, and say what's up. What's up, AG? You good? All good. Look at that.
Because you know how they castrate bulls?
Yeah.
It's like a rubber band you tie around them, and then they just ossify and fall right off.
Is that right?
Wow.
Is that right?
I was wondering where you were going. Now I really need to know where this is going.
Had to share that
We
with
had Tom
me.
Harriman's on yesterday as our mystery guest. He's talking about the castrate some cows recently. That's a little piece of my knowledge that I know. No, but we told the joke about him. I've never had him. Have you? I mean,
Yeah, I'm not doing
maybe
that.
right time and place. I don't know.
I'm out.
Not this time, please. Not for me.
I mean,
Not in this lifetime
from
for me.
Chick-fil-A,
I'm
yeah.
good.
No, not from there.
All right, if you guys are allowing yourself to be concerned as Philadelphians about this Eagles team, what is bothering you? What is worrying you?
Well, if we circle back to what Devon was saying about the AJ piece, right? Like, zoom out from AJ. AJ had, if he wants more targets, if he wants this, right? When you come off of a Super Bowl win, when you have climbed the
everybody wants a little
mountain,
more, yeah.
everyone, it's
Disease
this
of
is
me,
an old Bill
the
Simmons
classic,
thing, yeah,
yeah,
the disease
yeah.
of me or disease of more, or that's Pat Riley, I think is the
No,
one
it's his
that-
buddy House. No.
Is it? I don't know.
it's not.
It's funneled down from somebody over the
Yeah.
years. But the old belief is like, hey, once you win and everybody gets it, you don't know how people will react. Some people are more in the mindset of, I want to do this more, right? Like I will replicate what I did this season. I'll sacrifice for the team. I'll whatever needs to be done. And some people say, well, look, you dream as a kid of winning a championship, right? And obviously, if you continue to win championships, that's great. But now that I checked that off, what if I checked off, Pro Bowl? What if I checked off, 100 catches? What if I checked off?
What if I'm the quarterback, and the quarterback says, I want to win it by throwing the
My way.
football?
Yeah,
without the straitjacket.
So what I would say is that it's not that I'm concerned that any one person is going to derail the fight to repeat or the fight to just continue contending into the future. But as you go through these roster changes too, and you have to change the fabric of the team a little bit, all these little things can just, they're little holes that you plug in the ship, and you have to be proactive and just aware that that's happening to avoid that becoming a leak that just sinks the whole season.
I'll go with the coaching staff.
Okay.
I'm good with the defensive coordinator. I know what I'm getting there.
Tula?
Now you make a change for the offensive coordinator again.
Yeah.
Kyle just
5
talked
years.
about how it plays out with and brings up the quarterback and the running game and all that from a season ago. Does A.J. Brown need more touches? Does his personality overwhelm the OC too, where you're kind of putting that pressure to make sure that, hey, I got to get this guy the football. And then it also goes into the head coach of, can he do it again? Does he do it again? He got his extension now, so he's good. But
I don't know that he's ever going to be good.
Is he good? Is he good enough? And can he press all those right buttons once again? A year, 2 years in a row like this. I mean, he's done it 2 of the last 3, so he should be able to. We should be able to give him the credit that this guy's okay. He can get things done. So I'll go with those two, with the OC and the head coach once again, because it just seems like there's always going to be questions with Sirianni, and fair or unfair, that's the nature of it. He's been in 2 Super Bowls and we still question the guy.
Yeah.
But he's gotten it done. And then just the new OC, once again, you just said what, 4 OCs
4 in 4 years.
in
Yeah.
4
I said
years.
5, but I meant
So when I look at that, does that get in the way, or was this the right hire because the offensive coordinator and the head coach are on the same page, but the quarterback and the offensive coordinator are on the same page to make sure that they keep flowing like a well-oiled machine like they were a year ago?
I think the thing that Kyle said is true, and it's not a fun or sexy thing to talk about, but it's really hard to get to the Super Bowl, right? It takes a lot of little things going right. I think the Eagles, as we talked about this morning, are probably one of the best teams of all time. And yet if Jalen Carter doesn't make that sack in the Rams game, maybe they never get there.
Yeah.
And so if just one injury happens that takes you off path a little bit, or if one of the other 15 teams in the conference just has a more special, magical season, things could end in the playoffs or whatever, and it might feel like a big come down when in reality it's just a slight margin off of what Eagles fans want.
And I'll add just another smaller one, but something that certainly concerns me, right, is like if you look historically at these huge running back seasons, right? A lot of times immediately after that happens, it's whether it's injuries, whether it's just like the workload that you have to take on to be a guy that's in the 2,000-yard rushing territory and carry an offense like that. It's a physically demanding position that those guys do not generally bounce back well from those seasons. And if you get good Saquon, you can still be an elite offense. But if you get more like hey, he's banged up all season, or he's just more closer to a pedestrian version of Saquon, that could change the calculus for this team quite a bit. But, I'm sure, based on his history, he's going to put himself in best possible position that he can coming off of that year.
Do you want to join us, cuz? We got another headset?
No, I'm good. I just want to say hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boys.
And even if Tyler Steen is not as good of a run blocker as Mekhi Becton, which he probably won't be, right? It just all those little margins. If Saquon's a little bit less explosive in the open field, like the NFL record of 50-plus yard rushes, that's not going to happen again, right?
Yeah. But you look at the offense
Just
and you
natural
say
regression?
It is, which is why we were making such a big deal about you have to bring Dallas Goedert back. Why are you messing with something? Number one, you don't have a replacement. Number two, the guy's still good. So as we saw in the Super Bowl where they decided to try to take away the run and dare the quarterback to make plays, he did. And why was he also able to do that? Because he has talent at the receiver position and the tight end position where you can do that. The offensive line is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL, where you can withstand the fact that they tried to eliminate what at least got you there as far as that run game. But, hey, man, we just talked about A.J. Brown in the first segment for a reason. Devontae Smith is still underrated as a player in the NFL at the wide receiver position. And if Dallas Goedert can stay healthy, even if he doesn't, we always see when he comes back, he's still a difference maker for this football team. And then we could all get into the whole where I would mess with you, talk with you guys like, yo, man, why are they not giving, Jahan Dotson the football, or where's that coming from? But when it was money time, he went to him twice in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was
and he
his best
made big
game of the year.
plays. Yeah, so I think that there's enough talent overall with the personnel that even if it's not, of course, it's not going to be another 2,000. We don't think it's going to be another 2,000-yard season, but even if he still gives you good
He doesn't need to run for 2,000 yards to be an extremely productive and, team-driving
You're still
player.
Pro Bowl Saquon Barkley. You should still win a lot of football games. You know what
He should get the boost from having sat on that couch.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
When he did the show here with the other guy. The beauty of it, though, that I love is we can ask this question off of a Super Bowl victory.
Yeah.
You can ask that.
It's hard for the agitation to really come to a boil at this point, right?
Yeah.
All right, who's the Ace Bailey of the Eagles?
Oh, God.
It was Johnson Gardner Johnson. So now,
Ace Bailey of the Eagles.
Let's figure out the Ace Bailey, the VJ Edgecombe, and the Con Knipple.
Sidney Brown
Is who?
Ace
Edgecombe?
Bailey.
Oh, he's Ace Bailey?
Well, you know,
We're talking like Toolsy.
I was going to say, who's more idea
Like-
than player?
Yeah.
is Keely Ringo more idea
That's a
than
good
player?
one. Keely Ringo's a good one. He certainly hasn't proven it
Hasn't
yet.
shown it yet.
I thought I was going to get through today without having to talk about Ace Bailey.
I
don't know why.
People just get so mad about. I've had him fourth on a draft board, and it's
that's
like,
bad.
oh my god,
We're
could
a week
you?
away.
More idea. I know we're a week away.
Yeah, so Keely Ringo, I would say.
That's a good one.
More idea because, and it was just so odd that he was so young at Georgia.
I mean, you can make a case for Jahan Dotson, too.
Yeah, but
But he's not as lengthy.
But is his role right? Yeah, it's not 6'8". I would say Keely Ringo, but the
Okay.
Jahan Dotson one, another 4-year, even though he did have training camp last year, or at least preseason. Sorry,
Okay.
I would say Keely Ringo.
Who's VJ Edgecombe? Is he Nolan Smith? Like
got-
just the dog in him
So
is his
it's got to
biggest
be
deal?
dog, great athlete, but some questions about.
I feel like that's Nolan Smith.
Yeah, I
That
think that
is.
fits pretty well, right? Because questions about how he
Yeah.
plays the position, right?
Right.
It's the size, and for VJ, it's the handle.
Okay.
But I think that's probably in the ballpark.
And Con Knipple is clearly Cooper DeJean.
just does all the? He could
Just
play
a
all.
white guy.
Yeah.
I mean, a
But,
white guy
but
who
I think
shouldn't
you
be.
like Cooper DeJean. I
Well,
don't think you
that's
like Con Knipple.
I
so,
don't like Con
yeah,
Knipple.
So that's
I mean, white guy from Duke, out. Initials KK, out.
I will say.
Name is Nipple, out.
If I was a less serious basketball analyst, there would be a part of me that would be on our show every day being like, the family full of K names with the last name Knipple
Yes.
is really concerning.
So I
can't be
did.
doing
I did
that.
the
From
KK one
Wisconsin
day, and he was
to-
like, "No, we're not saying KK on the show. We're not
it's- yeah.
doing that."
well,
You can't be doing that.
right.
Everybody in the family? Come on.
I'll ask you a question,
bad job,
though.
by
So
the way.
his
That's a
dad,
terrible job.
His dad is
job.
the original Con, so he's the second Con.
He's a con artist.
Do you change your opinion on him at all, knowing that his middle name is just the Roman numeral 2?
The middle name.
The middle name is so he technically doesn't have
Not
a middle
really.
name. It's just the
No,
2.
I feel like that makes it worse.
It really does.
I feel like that makes it like they're hiding that the middle name is actually another K, and
and they had to.
they
try
just
to
don't
get-
want to make it public.
All right, so let me
Yeah.
ask you some more draft or draft adjacent questions. So Devon and I think, are anti-sleeves players in basketball. Is there a football equivalent
Yeah.
of a basketball player who wears sleeves under the jersey that you're just like, I see a guy wearing this or doing this, and I can't take him seriously as a future prospect?
Well, there is Derek Barnett used to wear like the baggy long sleeve shirt.
Yes,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did, and it was
Underneath.
awful.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a tough aesthetic
Awful.
look.
That was just another reason to just be
I kinda
frustrated
liked,
with him.
I liked Derek Barnett.
Yeah, he was
but,
frustrated.
yeah, the baggy
always
long
him.
sleeve underneath, tough look. I
Didn't
would
Josh
say.
Sweat do that a little bit for a little
I
bit,
think he
and then
might
he
have done
finally
it,
went
yeah.
to the more compression?
Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah, right.
Now, I will say I am always in on dreads for a
Okay.
defensive back. I mean, I think that like aesthetically, that's a great look.
And it just says he can play.
Yeah,
You should.
yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that. I feel like I'm liable to be out on a guy with crazy face paint.
Okay.
It's a little bit too much the program for me.
Yeah.
So
place
you
at
would have
the
been out
table.
on like high school Bryce Harper then, because Bryce
Yes.
Harper was a notorious
Yes.
like insane amount of eye black
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
I actually some Kyle lore here. I played some intramural softball in college,
Okay.
and there was a guy who we played against one night who
probably
was like
roided
the
up.
war paint,
Yeah.
and we screamed the whole game, "Hey Bryce, I thought you moved the wood bats, you loser!" Just the whole game. And he dropped like 4 easy center field flies. I was
You
very-
can't be wearing war
I hope I
paint and
ruined
not
that
be
guy's
the best
day.
player on the team
Yeah,
in
come
softball.
on. That was the point, right?
Yeah.
It's like if
Yeah.
you showed up and you hit like 3 home runs at intramural softball. Like, come on,
Unacceptable.
bro.
That's
This is
when
a
you
little
already
too
know that.
serious.
You're like, he can't play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the wristband, the elbow.
That'd be like if you showed
and
up with the Allen Iverson sleeve and then you can't shoot a lick. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you
bro?
got to be a deadeye.
Yeah.
You know who I liked who had that in college was Tony Babbitt from Cincinnati. Do you remember him?
The name sounds familiar, but
No
I'm not
relation
sure
to
I remember.
Lorena.
Good.
I sure hope not.
All right, we're taking another break. Speaking of different kind of castration, we will be back with more on the
Now
other
you got
side
a big
here.
one for the next segment, too. You got to come up with another.
That's
That's
right.
2 in a row.
Well, guys, I thought I'd get through a show without talking about Ace Bailey, but I want to talk about our good friends at Ace Hardware Home Services because they got that. If they got an outlet you said you'd fix last summer, Ace Hardware Home Services has the person for that job. They're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long at Ace Hardware Home Services. I actually wonder, guys, do you think they have like a Ace Hardware Home Services mouse removal department?
That's a really good question.
Might want to work on that here at the
We've been begging
PHLY
for
studios.
a sponsor.
Listen, if we're saying, hey, they bring helpful to your home, this is our home. So I think that would apply. I'm going to have to get in touch with our Ace Hardware people. But what we know is they're members of our community who know the ins and outs of everything they do. They have specialists for electrical. They have specialists for heating, cooling, whatever your needs might be. They have you covered. So visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
For the past 30 years, Golden Nugget Jewelers has operated out of the very same location in the heart of Philadelphia. Customers from across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and even Baltimore and New York City have come to Golden Nugget Jewelers to find that perfect engagement ring or wedding band. The staff at Golden Nugget is highly trained and dedicated to providing a personalized shopping experience. We're talking a vast selection of engagement rings and wedding bands, along with high-end watches, fashion jewelry, and sparkling diamond necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and more. Receive a final cleaning and written appraisal with every engagement ring purchase. Golden Nugget Jewelers has been a family-owned and operated business since 1987. Right there on 8th and Chestnut in downtown Philly, you deserve an expert and the best price. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Visit goldennuggetjewelry.com today to learn more. A great answer in the chat to the question that you posed, and I believe the correct answer, a quarterback with gloves on his throwing hand.
Oh, yeah.
He went with 1 glove. I said the 2. So Kenny Pickett,
Yeah, out.
Well, Teddy Bridgewater is probably the best example. Like, I loved watching Teddy Bridgewater play.
Yeah, the Warner.
But Teddy 2 gloves, man, just can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, Warner. It's not. We can't be doing that.
We had
what
said
kind of-
excessive midriff showing with the jerseys.
Oh, but I love that for a fat defensive tackle. I mean, show me that belly.
Especially if
I'm
they
in
pick
on
up a
that.
fumble and start, stumbling, bumbling.
Now, what is
down
the what is
field.
the flip side? What is an aesthetic that you're hooked right away?
That's
A defensive lineman with no gloves, bare hands on a defensive lineman.
Okay.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Reggie White style. Like
You can see how mangled their fingers are.
I'm just a more badass human being than you are. Like
That's a
that,
good
I
one.
feel like I'm in on that.
I like the dark shield. For the,
Dark shield's a good
on
one.
the face mask.
Okay.
I'm also out on tribal tattoos unless they are Polynesian and it's like a cultural.
Yeah. Right, the appropriated tribal tattoo.
Yeah, the guys
Jason
who, like-
Babbitt, yes.
Correct.
I don't love like the super shiny chains on because why?
Yeah.
And I like chain. I like a nice neck wear, but
Especially from Golden Nugget
Golden Nugget
Jewelers.
from Golden
yeah.
Nugget Jewelers, but why?
Yeah.
we know
I hate
you
when
have
I see
money.
a
You're out
chain
there.
on a player and I can tell they didn't get a golden nugget.
Yes.
I'm like, what are we doing?
It's
No
just
football
ridiculous.
IQ.
Yeah.
I think
What about in basketball? What's a good aesthetic?
I don't. So the shooting sleeve for me, a bad one. I hate when it's on the non-shooting arm.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing?
Right. What's the point?
What is the point?
Yeah. Just the occasional offhand dunk.
Exactly, or a floater. I mean, a layup, whatever.
yeah.
But other than that, you're not shooting. It's really a shooting sleeve. You're not shooting.
Yeah.
Well, I
when
also
Iverson
hated on
wore
like Ben
them-
Simmons wearing the shooting
Oh, yeah,
sleeve. And, like
because
guys who don't
What's
shoot
it gonna do,
jumpers.
hurt him?
Where it's like, what's going on here?
The thing is, Iverson really wore them at first because he had two bad elbows.
Yeah.
And they have wrapped him up, and then it just became his thing. And then it became a cultural thing, and it became, all right, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you have it on the wrong arm, my man.
Yeah.
You're not shooting.
Okay,
What is
I'll
happening?
give you one
That's a bad
outside of the sleeves we already
Sorry,
established.
Gene Ross. I knew you wear the sleeve. My bad.
The one that I really can't stand is when guys wear black shoes with like all white jerseys and it just looks like it's the most swaggerless look almost every time. And we had Justin Edwards on the show yesterday. Really appreciated him coming on. Hopeful for his future success. He busted out the black shoes a few times this year, and I was like, Justin, buddy, please do anything else. It just reminds me of like a guy who, man. It just reminds me of like a guy who looks like me going out there. Like that's a look that like someone like me would show up at a pickup court and be like, yeah, I got my black sneakers on with my white tee and my white shorts and my white socks, just looking like a fool. So that's one of mine.
For a good part of the year, I would say 75% of the year, Kale wore black Paul George. What was the last one? Yeah, whatever it was, last Paul George. But he wore black.
All right, now I'm gonna spin this. Aesthetically, what's like your favorite thing to watch as a football fan? Is there a type of play that gets you going?
Any deep shot. You take a deep shot, go for it. And when they did that against Kansas City up, what was 35-0?
Yeah, the dagger.
The dagger. I was certain that even with Saquon struggling the way that he was, they're just going to run the clock a little bit. They will take a shot at some point, but not this one. The dagger shot or just any deep shot. That's the one for me.
I mean, the anticipation, the ball in the air.
Yeah, you don't. You lose it. You lose it on the television because the camera might not see it. It's still so far in the air. Who's down there, right? Because of any play formation, it could be Smith and Brown on one side, but then with all the things that work out in between the play, where now Jahan Dotson is on some sort of wheel route going down the sideline. Oh, it's Jahan Dotson that's on the end of that play in the Super Bowl. So I love those. Those are the ones for me.
So I love a well-executed screen to a fast guy, right? Where like the blocking lines up and it's just 0 to 60.
Not something you're going to get with this Eagles team.
What up, B-West?
And it drives me it drives me crazy watching them execute screens a lot of time. The other one, and is a much different play, is when I hear the official come over the loudspeaker and it's like, number 70 is an eligible receiver on the play. And it could be a big boy touchdown and a spike afterwards. So that's always, it rarely happens, right? Like most of the time they report as eligible and it's a decoy, or even if they throw it to him, you're throwing to a lineman. But I love that one too.
Can I add one before you throw another one?
No, please.
It's the form tackle that's like a real stick. Because
the Cooper DeJean on Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that one, and of course
Sheldon Brown on Reggie Bush.
Because so with the way that sometimes we don't know what's a real tackle, what's allowed in today's game. So when you get that real good form tackle, and then it's a guy like Cooper DeJean who is not supposed to tackle Derrick Henry that way, lift him up and bring him to the ground like that. That's always a real good one, man.
I like just from a violence perspective, a clean shot on the quarterback blindside that he doesn't know is coming. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah.
And he just, because listen, the quarterback is so protected. You get a nice, just clean shot to
tee off,
dislocate.
Man.
That's so good.
Just tee off.
That's great. Yeah. And even along those lines, from just a violence perspective, like when Jalen Carter is just throwing a guy out of the way, that level of physical man-to-man domination is really fun to watch.
I'll throw one more on the defensive side. I love a well-timed blitz, especially coming from the secondary, right? Free? Like a late safety just like times it perfectly, and he's in the backfield before the offense knows what hit him. Like, just love seeing that.
You know what else I like is, now that I'm thinking about that, is a clean interception by someone in the front seven. So, So it doesn't seem possible that the linebacker will be able to jump up and pick this clean.
Those always are so crazy to me that they're engaged with another 325 pound man.
Every now and then it will happen with a defensive lineman, and that's insane.
I don't know how they have the reaction speed and hand-eye and all that goes into that.
The best is when they're juggling it in the air, trying to – they did everything else. They did it all and just secure it.
That's good, too. I like that, too.
Or just a clean interception period where they read the quarterback, they trick the quarterback, or it's just enough studying where they know this guy's going to do this, and then all of a sudden they break perfectly Asante Samuel style.
Yeah, but you got to pick it clean for it to be aesthetically nice.
Yeah, man.
And you can't catch in the chest either.
Asante
I want to see
Samuel.
your hands catch it.
Gone. The other way. Let's go.
Love Asante.
Yeah.
All right. Who's coming up next? Next is
the Sixers gang.
Sixers gang. Derek, Rich, and
Fran, I believe.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
remember, please be continuing to give from your generous pockets. We appreciate that on behalf of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and we want to get those subscriptions up.
Yeah, baby.
Ooh, this is a good one from Davis. The field goal attempt getting blocked. That's a good, but it's got to be a clean block.
So
because just like a little fingertip one where you can't really tell, that's not as fun.
And the rule is, of course, you cannot leap over the center, right? Right. Yeah.
Kickoff return touchdown. That's good.
And it's because you don't see
any
those
special
much
teams
anymore.
touchdown?
Yeah, you don't see those much anymore because of how they changed things.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that Bears-Colts Super Bowl where opening kickoff, Devon Hester takes it to the house.
So good.
And then they just didn't kick to him the
barely
rest of the
got
game.
a first
And it was
down the
like
rest
that
of
was
the
the
game.
right
Yeah.
thing to do because
Yeah.
you're up against Rex Grossman and an
Yes.
offense that can't do anything. But I was like, man, if only they had kicked to him. That's one where I'm like, just as a fan of the sport, I'd rather you have to force them to kick to him somehow. Enough of
I
this
agree with that.
kicking around him. It's how I feel about the fouling up three stuff in basketball. It just drives me absolutely crazy.
It's no
I
fun.
get it. It's like you're playing the odds and it's strategy.
It's not
but-
your job to make the game entertaining. It's your
Yeah.
job to win the game. But
Exactly.
that's not fun. Do you have any good stories from being on Broad Street during the post Super Bowl experience?
I'll give you a few. Some of these you can actually go to my Instagram and see these. I was
plug.
walking down Broad, and a woman stopped at I can't remember where there's a Crown Fried Chicken on Broad and maybe I don't know, whatever, immaterial. Woman is stopped at the intersection there trying to cross and decided, because everyone's hooting
be
and
driving,
hollering,
you know what I mean.
to turn around and twerk onto her car horn and honk the horn. And the funniest part is not that she did that, although that's very funny. I posted the video, and a friend of mine from college, who I haven't seen in years, DMs me like, hey, look at my Instagram page. We must have walked in opposite
Oh, that's
directions
funny.
and saw the same thing, but because you're in a sea of people, we didn't see one another. So that was funny.
That's very
there
funny.
was a man who climbed
Twerking on the car
one
horn
of
is very
the
funny.
one of the street lights at, I think it was Broad and Pine, I want to say, who looked like the United Healthcare accused shooter.
Okay.
And so people were chanting Luigi at him. That was pretty interesting. We can spare any more commentary on that situation. And then look, it was just a lot of,
What a hero.
I just walked around for a long time trying to meet up with people, but also I sent out a tweet that was like, hey, if you find me, I got a backpack of beer and let's have a drink together. So I ran into some people, including some people who watch our shows.
Nice.
I ran into Wesley Scher, who I used to blog with a million years ago at Liberty Ballers, who had some cigars. So I smoked some. Nothing is better when the Philadelphia sports teams win because everyone here is in a great mood.
So can I ask a question off
Please.
of that? You've now, 3 Super Bowls, 2 wins for
Yep.
you? What's it been like to cover 3 Super Bowls, 2 wins, and then prepare for the next year where they are still good and go in as one of the favorites once again? And we haven't experienced that.
Yeah.
So, that
Well,
sucks.
I will from just
Not holding my breath over here, Devon.
from just a covering the Super Bowl standpoint, before we even get to what comes next, I am glad that I have seen. I mean, I'm not glad for you guys that they lost the Super Bowl, but I'm glad that I have seen from a human standpoint both sides of that.
Yeah.
The 2022 loss, man, it's just brutal because it's such a long road. It's so difficult to get there. The moment I can picture in my mind is Sirianni coming up to Jason Kelsey, and Kelsey's still in his full uniform. Obviously, his brother just won the Super Bowl, so it's even more mixed emotions for him, and he's taking off the tape. And Nick's thank you so much for everything. What a great ride. And Jason's it's just so hard to get back. And they got back 2 years later, but it is. It requires so much, like we were talking about before. I will say this Super Bowl locker room compared to the 2017 Super Bowl locker room, this was much more of a party. Now in 2017, it was still the music is playing loud, but at one point Doug Peterson comes in and gives a speech, and they do their team prayer that they've done for a while, and it's a little bit more siloed. The position mates are drinking with each other, whereas in New Orleans, it was like a total, like just scene,
Mayhem.
like a nightclub mayhem, to the point where like. I turn the corner and I have like a lit cigar in my ear from an assistant coach. Like, you've got champagne all over you. This was much more of and maybe it's because it was a younger team, and so that's where they are in their stage of life a little bit more. But this was much more of like a true raucous celebration. Maybe it was New Orleans too. In terms of what comes next, that's why I'm curious how you guys feel as Eagles fans. About like, are you even as plugged in as much? Because I feel like, when your team wins, it's hard to care about the minutia quite as much until the season is back. Then you're locked in. But I do feel like there is maybe a bit of a come down for, do you care as much about who's going to be the backup tight end right now until it actually matters?
For me, I didn't answer the question that you had asked, and Kyle went into it. I did. I cared. Of course, joining you guys quickly for the draft, that first night, seeing how things would play out in free agency before that stuff still mattered to me to see how it went. Number one, because you were losing a lot of players. But then also, can you keep Zach Bond? Can you bring him back? The surprise of Saquon Barkley, it wasn't a surprise maybe for you guys, but, they gave him the extension, and he got that out of the way. And seeing all of those things play out, I was still invested in the offseason just as much. The OTAs, I want to see, even though Jahad Campbell can't really participate, I want to see it. I want to see what he looks like. And, I'm a nerd about the numbers and things like that of what jersey numbers he's going to wear.
Oh, the numbers king over here.
Yeah, I'm a numbers king. And so, I was still invested, and maybe even more just because they did win. And I do think they can get back and compete and defend their crown.
And I would add on to that like if I am not super plugged in now, it has no bearing on
how plugged in you'll be
as soon as training camp starts and all that. Because Devon brought up sharing this with his kids, right? And like for me, the Eagles are so important to me in part because it's a way I connect with my dad and my friends and my family, and like. The Eagles, more than any other team in the city, and frankly by a pretty comfortable margin, really represent the whole city and Philadelphia as a community. And so to me, like a big reason I do the job that we all do and like love this stuff is it's a way to, be in touch with that community all the time. And the Eagles are the most obvious example of it. So the second that, training camp opens and I start seeing, so-and-so looks great and boy, this guy looks fat and out of shape or whatever. And then you go through, preseason doesn't really matter at all anymore. But like that first game, I'm locked in.
Yeah. I mean, we brought up on Anthony's show this morning, but intellectually you can think, okay, like they just won the Super Bowl. They've won 2 in however many years. Like I will be okay if they don't, win the Super Bowl this year. I have realistic expectations versus
I'll be mad as
hell
hell
if they're losing. In 2018, they're losing at halftime to the Falcons. They get booed off the field, right? Like, and they probably deserved it, right? We start at scratch. Like from a baseline level, you're still going to feel the way you feel.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, it's still a good time. Kyle, like you said, you're still going to be mad as hell, but.
That first loss, I will be spitting mad in my house, making the worst dinner my wife's ever eaten after that game at 4:15 p.m.
Some player's going to come back where you'd be like, they shouldn't have made that play, they would have won the game. Just like that. So, because I always say it, but we're all, how did it happen?
Yeah.
Here's how it happened, and that's why I'm ticked off right now. Or that's why you're reacting to certain things in the post game because of how this particular thing happened in the game that caused them to lose that one.
So even if they lose, you're still going to cook dinner?
Well, it depends on the night, but that's a lot of ordering out on Sundays, I would say.
Okay.
But
at home, who's doing more of the cooking?
My wife, for sure. Although lately I've been doing more. I've been trying. That's one of my off-season projects is just trying to.
What's new in your bag?
I am making later a lemon ricotta pasta dish with some roasted broccoli and some spicy sausage. So that'll hopefully go over well. We'll see.
Are we talking like the pasta is made of the ricotta?
No, so it's more of like that's the sauce, right? So it's I've been big on the New York Times cooking recipes. It just simplifies everything for me.
Okay.
Anyone who can tell me just follow some instructions. Yeah. I'm good at following instructions. I'm not so good at like if you just handed me a bunch of ingredients and said, "Hey, this is Top Chef or whatever." Like, I'm drowning. I need some guidance.
Okay, but you're putting in the work.
I'm trying.
I respect
anyway.
that.
Yeah.
What's your go-to recipe, Devon? What are you making?
Go-to? I just go easy stuff. Bake some chicken, make some mashed potatoes, and maybe some broccoli, and I'm good. That's my go-to.
That's not bad.
That's the easiest.
Broccoli's a great vegetable, man. Like
It is.
I ride for broccoli. Easy
Broccoli's
to make,
great.
good for you.
Yeah, whether you just boil it how you boil it and do it that way, or some roasted broccoli.
Give me a food that you hated as a kid that you like now.
I can do the reverse.
Okay.
That I liked as a kid and hate. I'm not an eggs person
Oh, okay.
for that reason. My mom always made them, of course, but I just didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like I would have hated Brussels sprouts as a kid. I love a nice
I think
roasted
that might
Brussels
be my
sprout.
I can
answer
do roasted
too.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I love a roast.
I can
Like
do
give
roasted
me that
Brussels
crunchy, crispy skin. Love that.
Yeah. But I'm more reverse.
Pickles. I used to hate pickles.
I used to like pickles.
I still hate pickles.
I'm not a big pickles guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like a dill pickle now. But I used to hate pickles.
No pickles, no ketchup. Those are my two hard.
Even as a kid, you hated ketchup?
My best friend in the entire world, we became friends because in kindergarten, both of us hated ketchup. So I feel like I got to, even if it's like in The Wire,
it's your
right?
brand, yeah.
If it's a lie, we fight on that
Yeah.
lie. Unless it's in barbecue sauce, which it's in every barbecue sauce that's ever been made.
So what do you put on fries?
I prefer like hot sauce, vinegar. Like it depends on what else
man.
you're eating with it.
The hot sauce with the ketchup on the fries is good. But
Yeah.
you don't like the ketchup. But those
Some
that's-
aiolis
But
you
who
can
is
throw
more
in there.
disliked in the restaurant than the guy who asked for malt vinegar on his fries?
I'm not asking for anything. I'll just eat the fries.
Okay.
I'm not picky. I'll eat lots of things.
I'm picky, so I say no to a lot.
All right.
A lot.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you so much.
This was fun.
This was fun.
Broccoli gang.
Correct.
Anti-ketchup. That's how you make friends
Anti-eggs.
in this world. No pickles. That's how we close on a castration note. So,
Oh boy.
Love it.
For Devon and Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. We're back tomorrow, regularly scheduled time at 2:00. We got Fran talking about some of his pre-draft
Oh, no.
scouting reports.
Last minute super chat. What food is your Ace Bailey? Oh no, I'm not.
More theoretical than actual.
Wow.
Beef Wellington.
Sure.
I don't know. I just pulled that out of the thin air.
Something with a lot of length.
Sushi.
That's good.
Sushi.
All right, we're going to hand things over to the Sixers crew. You can get your Ace Bailey answers there. Maybe they'll answer that question on the other
Thank you,
side.
Chris B, for the super chat, by the way.
But everybody else, thank you so much. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
See ya.